It's doing that twice. Good morning, all. What is going on? Oh, I know what's going on. Sorry, I'm actually got the thing on my YouTube as well. Hey, all. Good morning. This is cool. I see a great note here from On Point Craps. And On Point Craps, by the way, if you don't know this, On Point Craps is formerly Honey Beginnings, correct? So kind of cool to see you here every day. And the point you make is great. Like, we're here every day, the same group. This is like our morning like group. It's like therapy now every day with the same 30, 40 people. I'd love to get this number up and have 100 people here every morning. But for now, I mean, it's great. We have our core and it's awesome. Love having you all here. And to that point, you know, Greg said this a long time ago, and we kind of go back and forth on this. Who has the smartest audience? I think probably we have 100% crossover in our audiences with a few outliers here and there. The audience here is amazing. You guys are so smart. And for that reason, I'm putting up a poll question. I'm actually going to go back to Firefox here. Give me a second here to put this up. Let me see if I can find it. I might have closed it. I'll restart it here in a second. There's a poll question that I wanted to ask you guys, which is more like, what do you want to see here in the morning show? What do you want with your coffee and your craps in the morning? Because I can go so many directions here. And, you know, this week, last week, week before, we focused so much more on theory and game mechanics and like how to play and breaking, like now we're doing breaking trends down, that kind of thing. We can do other things, right? I can do strategy breakdowns. And what I mean by strategy breakdowns is, you know, I've said this before, I don't want to be another channel that just runs other people's strategies and it does a quick review of it. There's a lot of that already out there, and I don't want to step on other people's toes that are doing a good job of that. We know Ken does that, and Sideshow Gamble's doing that. Joe's done that. Jeremy, of course, does that. Greg does a little bit of that too. And that's not my wheelhouse. However, like last week when I took the Butterberg and did like 5 permutations of it and sort of went through it and ran it through the mill a little bit, that was kind of fun to take one strategy and just torture it for a week and do it that way. So that's an option that we have too, to do a subscriber strategy, but really hammer the thing for a week. And I think that's the kind of thing that I would like to see if you'd want to do or not. I think definitely team play is a thing that we should be pursuing. Waylon has written me, we're chatting in another comment thread of the video about team play, and he's got a really good idea for it. I've always had ideas on team play. I think team play is a thing that I want to pursue here. It's easiest to pursue that in WinCraps. I think WinCraps makes that easier to do A/B testing. I'm going to show you some today of that. Team play on the table, it's hard only in the extent that there's so many chips going and it's hard to follow, I think. I watch people do team play. Like when I watch Big AZ's channel, I love how he deals to 4 people, but I have a hard time following whose chips are whose and who's got what money. So sometimes multiple things on the table in an overhead view, it feels like it's hard to manage, not manage, but hard for the viewer, you, to consume what the hell's going on there. So I'm leery of doing team play live. More so, I think it could work in WinCraps. I don't know. Yeah, Skill, I think I can do your strategy for sure. I can break that thing down. I've actually got, if you guys should see my email, I've got probably 70 strategies in my email that people have sent me, from come out gambits to skill and luck strategy to every manner of stuff in between. And some people and I are just emailing back and forth. Waylon is good at that. Just, hey, you know, here, try this, try that, and, you know, a bunch of small tweaks. There's a lot there. I have enough content there to do a year's worth of shows if I just did that. But I want to do what's valuable. Do I want to break them down and do smaller, shorter rollouts like I did last week, or do you want me to just roll it out for half an hour? I'm definitely going to do some of the more like longer, just me rolling stuff out at night. I think this morning show feels like it wants to be more of a talk show with whatever the content of the day is. And an evening show, if I can get to scheduling right, would be more based on, hey, let's roll it out and see what happens. And I think with the evening shows, I'm going to do some more stuff with Hawaii Crap Shooters, with Greg, with Ken, do more of the simulcasting, showing 2 tables at once kind of thing. That would be kind of fun. Anyway, I'll put a poll out there in the YouTube kind of subscribe, what do you call it? The poll question area, and just get another sense of where we want to see more of. Do we want to just roll is another question, right? I can make this thing simple. Let's go back there and just roll stuff out. But I kind of like talking in the morning. It gets me awake. It gives me a reason to sit here and have coffee and sort of hang out with you guys. This feels more like we're hanging out. with a little bit of teaching in there. So yeah, when I think it is confusing when there's too much going on, and I think there's a lot there. So I'll put a poll out. We'll see what you guys want to see more of. Sure, rolling the dice proves everything for sure. Today we're going to look at WinCraps a little bit because I did a lot of work last night. I did a lot of work last night on WinCraps. Not enough. I don't really actually have. There you go. So GW, you're funny here, but you know what's funny? Some of these channels that do this stuff, like here's a little peel back the onion of YouTube. You watch all these videos of YouTube and they say, the way to get more subs on YouTube is to have great thumbnails or great descriptions. And then you look around and all you see is craps videos, but the icon or the thumbnail image is some girl wearing a bikini. It like has nothing to do with craps. I'm not gonna go down that road most likely. So I like this idea too, the crawl, walk, run thing. Definitely talk theory and then progress through the live roll on Friday. That's kind of what I'd like. I was going to do that with the Butterberg last week. Friday was going to be a live roll, but I had my flight out on Friday morning, so I couldn't do it. But I think that's a good way to kind of progress the week. I really like the idea of taking a way of playing and spending 4 or 5 days on it versus just giving it one shot and that's it. Jeremy's big on let's give it one shot and that's all you get. I kind of feel like I want to put my brain into it. And what's cool is if I do that on Monday, what I get is a bunch of comments back. Oh, I get it, GW. Yeah, I know you're making fun. What I get is a bunch of comments back and like, oh, you're doing this wrong or you don't understand, or it's funny how people get passionate in the comments, but that can lead each days down different roads. And we can take the comments we get along with the initial outlay of what the theory could be and kind of run it through 4 or 5 days. I think that's a good way to do this. I sort of look at this morning show as kind of like crap school kind of thing, less than just rolling strategies out. So anyway, I think, like I said, I'll put a poll out. We'll get some more feedback from you, but that's where I'm thinking. I do like the idea of team play though. I really want to figure out how to get team play to work here. So with that, all that said, let's come over here and talk about trending. And yesterday we talked about trending and fallacy. I'm gonna stick in that world today, and I want to show you something. It's a simple little redefinition of the whole thing. Oh, the goal thing is still there. Redefining it is this: gambler's fallacy says something is due to happen because one thing happened, then something else is probably going to happen, and it's based on the frequency of things that happen or the likelihood of things to happen based on math. The example would be if you've seen, the 4 is going to come, generally speaking, 3 times to 6 7s and 36 rolls. If you see 3 4s, the math says, or the gambler's fallacy says, the 7 therefore is due. If you haven't seen a 7 before you've seen 3 4s, that 7's coming. Gambler's fallacy is people saying at the table, oh, it's been 6 7 rolls, 7's coming, I'm turning my bets off. That's gambler's fallacy coming into play. Because of some condition, something else is likely to happen. And to me, that's folly. I mean, I don't play that way, but I'm going to present it to you because it's my job to present you with all of the ways to play and kind of break it down. The dice, as we know, no memory on the dice. The 7 comes every 6 times or so over the course of time. So you know it's looming. The 7's always looming. To try and guess when it's going to come based on how many times you haven't seen it yet, that's where the fallacy piece comes in. And if you bet according to that, you're going to potentially miss out on things, or you're going to jump in or jump out too early. So that's definitely a thing that I worry about, is the wrong word, but that I disagree with regards to fallacy. But it is based on frequency. It is true. If you see 5 4s before a 7, you're probably not going to see the 6th one. 1 out of a billion times that happens. That's what Charlie from DGE was telling us on his segment of the Crapsathon. And Greg has shown you in his videos, because I think Greg rolled 5 10s in a row one time. It's like a 1 in a 2 billion chance or whatever the hell it was. Those things do happen. They do break the math. Math gets broken sometimes by these things. But that's the fallacy argument, is that it's not likely to happen. I would look at that and say, well, 1 out of 36 has the same chance of happening every single roll. Just because something else happened 5 times does not mean that it's now 1 out of 16. That's still 1 out of 36. So that's how I look at things. That's just me. When I look at trending, And the way that I talked about trending yesterday was the different sentences since this happened, maybe that's going to happen. And if you look at the analogy I gave you with being in the ocean, since I see a little bit of a swell forming, maybe it's going to be a good wave. That's based on distribution. Trending is based on when things happen in the 36 average rolls. Not so much that they happen, because we know the 7's going to happen. We know that 3 4s are going to happen. It's a matter of when they occur. And there are, for example, the field, there are 16 numbers, 16 ways to roll field numbers. They're going to happen in that 36 rolls. Is it going to be every other one, super choppy, or are you going to get 3 or 4 in a row? Trending says, since we saw something happen a couple of times, maybe we're going to be in a position where it's going to happen more than that times. And again, both of these things, fallacy and trending, they're based on a feeling or on the way that you see the table, the way that you see the world, I guess, right? Do you see the world as though something is due, glass half full, I guess? Do you see it as, or I guess glass half empty, or do you see it as something is due, glass half full? That's the way I look at these two. One is the glass is emptying, one is the glass is filling. And I would rather put my sense of things into the glass filling up and thinking that maybe we're going to be in a good roll here. So, or a good roll, or a good wave, so to speak. So with that said, that's how I view them and define fallacy versus trending. There's probably more nuance to that. There's probably more math that can go into that. But at a high level, that's how I look at it. Now, let's jump into WinCraps real quick. I want to show you what I did in WinCraps. And we may go to the table here in a little bit too. But WinCraps, this is going to be really, I'm going to move my screen over. This is going to be really a lot to look. Oh, wait, I can't do that. Sorry. Let's keep it where it was. There. This will be a lot to look at here. So forgive the complexity of what you're about to see. Yeah, right. On point. See a horn, bet a field, right? Which is funny because that's basically the trend. So here's what I did. I set up a bunch of people as players in this WinCraps scenario that I've got in front of you. Now, the way that it's going to be interesting to look at is going to be in 2 of them. What I've set up is, and I'll show you the scripts that I wrote here. So I basically have a bunch of scripts. I need to make this a little smaller. It looks like. Here we go. Okay. We're going to play the field today. And the field, this first one is going to be the field. We'll do the field 0, 100. The field 0, 100 basically says this. Okay, fine. Let's get in there. Come on. I want to get it where it's white. There we go. Basically says we're going to wait until 2 field numbers roll. And as soon as we see 2 field numbers roll, we're going to jump in with a $100 bet. That's the entire strategy. This is a trend spotter. If you see 2 field numbers roll, that's the swell that we talked about. Jump in with a big bet. And it's going to be a 10x bet. So $10 table, $100 bet, $5 table, $50 bet. That's the whole strategy. Wait for 2 to happen, jump into it. And you're saying because this happened, maybe we're going to be inside of a little groundswell, which is kind of nice. The other side of it, the other player that we're going to play is the fallacy side of it, which says the opposite of that. Let me get to where I can click here. Come on. I'm getting locked up. Come on. There we go. The field fallacy guy says, let's wait until, I think I said before, wait until 4 non-fields roll and then jump in with a big bet. So this person is saying, because something happened, right, we're thinking the opposite is going to happen. So this must be due. A bunch of non-fields, field must be coming. The other person says, because 2 fields have happened, we're going to stay in the field. So it's 2 different views of the same result. What you're going to find when I roll this out, or when I do the WinCraps thing, is I want to look at the trending, right? I want to look at the trending of what happens when you're getting paid. And I see the DGE's here. Hey, cool guy. Charlie, how you doing? I'm lowering the numbers here, Charlie, to 2 and 5 because I want to see this. I want to see the graph actually move. When I do this with larger spreads, then WinCraps takes 5,000 rolls to start seeing some results. So what I want to do is get no, Zafir, no, or not Zop. I did no manipulation. This is pure random. And matter of fact, I reset the seed before we started this thing. So yeah, so we're just gonna look at 2 rollers. I've got everybody else, I think, turned off. Let me double check that. The field 0, 100, the fallacy's on. I think everybody else should be turned off here. Yeah, they're all turned off. So we're just gonna roll, and I'm gonna do it 500 at a time. I have a control guy as well that you'll see. The control guy just bets the field every single time. And the control player, I think, is important to see. If you remember back to, like, 9th grade science class, when you do an experiment, you always have a control. That's going to be kind of the baseline. So the baseline here is going to be the field every single time. The graph that we see from the control person is going to show us the actual trends of field numbers being hit in the series of rolls. And I'm going to scope it to 500 rolls. Okay, 500 rolls only, because you'll see this graph, and my WinCraps is running a little slow here, so this may not be the greatest. Here we go. The graph only holds 500 or so rolls in view. So I'm making it stop at 500 rolls instead of stopping when we zero out. So we're going to put up on here the field control person. We're going to roll 500 times, and then we're going to look at the 3 people, the control person, the fallacy person, and the trend person, and see who made the most money, which it's really kind of immaterial to me. They're all going to lose at the end. But really, how often the wins happen, and are the spikes more noticeable in different circumstances? That's what I want to see. So let's roll it out. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. They're going to hit the hyperdrive button. Okay, over 500 rolls. This is exactly what you expect. We started out with a $2,000 bankroll, by the way. $2,000 bankroll. After 500 rolls, the person betting the field $10 at a shot, very low volatility, right? They won at a most $90 over 5. So if you're gonna be a field bettor, you can't make any money betting the field every single roll. Flat betting, right? Flat betting and collecting, I think, there's no way to win. Their low point was they lost $190. So that's not very volatile. You can see this is the thing. But let's zoom into it anyway. I think if I zoom in, you'll still see this. And this is what I always talk about to you guys about the trending that happens on a table. There are, even in what looked pretty flat, if you break it down look at through a microscope, you will see and I know you can't see my mouse, but I'm pointing at stuff. What you'll see here is there are spikes, especially in the beginning. There's a couple of spikes right away. The first spike that you see there, that's between 2000 and 2100, that's probably 7 or 8 field numbers in a row that happened right there. And some of these bigger ones here towards the middle of the screen, there's a big series of green spikes that get you back up from being down into the profit again. That's a lot of field numbers happening. So if you look at the way that trending happens, you'll see that it definitely goes straight down for a bit, climbs back up, straight down, and climbs back up. If you look at it in the macro size, you don't really see that, right? You don't see, it feels pretty flat. And that's why I say the math says, in air quotes, I have my air quotes going, the math says you're going to get the 16 outcomes spread across 36. The reality says you're going to see it looking more like that, where you've got big downturns and big upturns, and the upturns are the waves forming. And if you can jump into it early enough and catch one of those waves forming, that's where you can see extra profit. Now let's take a look at the other 2. I'm going to scale this back out again. Whoops. To here. Let's go and look at the fallacy. And this is what I 100% expected to see. The gambler's fallacy. And Charlie, if you're still here, you said to me one time, it'll be 50 rolls before I bet sometimes. This is what you're seeing. The flat lines there is the gambler's fallacy bettor not betting. Wait for the 5 field numbers to roll, or 4 field numbers, or 4 non-fields to roll before you go in. Let's look at the scale here. So you're waiting all this time, nothing's happening. You're waiting to put your money in, then you go all in. And I'm pushing in for $100, right? I see 4 non-fields, push in for $100, boom, get your ass kicked. Come back up again. And this is what happens here. This person doesn't bet for long periods of time. And I think Charlie can attest to that, because the way that he plays, a lot of times waiting for strings of outcomes to happen before he bets. You probably see this a lot, where you're just waiting, and then you jump in. And here you can see us in the middle here. There's this nice little streak of non-fields that he hits 4 or 5 in a row, and that you get that nice little ladder. Compared to the control, this person never lost. Their low point was always where we started from in this particular set of 500 rolls, and they actually earned $400 throughout the series. And it looks like this one in the middle here is the one that actually kind of spiked it up. Pretty cool, although maybe a little bit boring waiting for the things to happen as you want. Now we'll compare that to the 0-100 player. Now this player is at 0 bet, no field bets. That's why it's called 0. They go in, they push into 100 as soon as they say 2 field numbers happen in a row. So field, I'm in for $100 and I pull. Both players are doing one hit and down. They're not staying into the series. They're just one hitting it and down, and that's it. This person here, look at the volatility. Okay, their upside though was $3,000. So they actually had a 50% profit in this thing. They did lose $100 at one point. They were down. It looks like that a few times. But here, if we look in, again, this person experienced, this is interesting to me. Look at the spikes that this person saw versus the spikes that the control saw. So the control person, straight across, right? This is field wins, field loses, and it's kind of bouncing along as actual table trends are. The person that jumped into, I can't get my mouse to work. The person that jumped into it with following the trends, way more volatile, but every time there was 2 in a row, they'd bet 100. So if you found a streak that was like 5, they would wait, bet, pull it down, wait, bet, and they'd win 2 out of that longer series instead of all of them. So I've got the part of this person's script turned off where they would stay into the series. And what that means is this: if I were to go back here, and you'll see this bottom part where it's green, I turned it off where I said, if my field bet wins, we're gonna bring it down to 25, and then we're gonna press by 25 on each subsequent win. So you hit the first one, and then you start building through it, and progressively, it's a regression up and pull type of thing in the field. So I turned that off because I wanted to give a true one-to-one comparison of what a trend better looks like versus the fallacy better. And the fallacy better does have those long periods of no betting, because you're waiting for the conditions to be what your goal is, which is I need to see 5 non-events, and then I expect the next thing to be the right event. Now, what I'm not doing, again, on both of these things, and to be fair, this one, as we said, I'm definitely not doing the stay in the trend thing. If it was me betting this, I would have all this open and we'd be saying, find the trend, stay in the trend, and keep betting. The other person, the fallacy person, and I think, Charlie, if you're still here, you can correct me on this. You're waiting, and if you lose, so one of these downturns, let me zoom into the scale. On one of these downturns, when you lose one, I think the DGE way of this is you're gonna go ahead and martingale that. You're gonna go and try and catch that back so that when you're in this uptick in here, it's a bigger uptick for you. I think that's how he does it, but just to give you a sense of the trend and what the graph looks like with just numbers of wins based on your kind of sensor view of the world, that's what I wanted to look at here. So that's the reality, right? And I think that the real reality is here, the control section. If you look at the control, this is distribution, and I talk about this all the time. The distribution of the roll outcomes is not flat, right? The field numbers, the 4s and 10s and the 2s and the 12, they come very much in clusters, and these upticks are clusters of those things happening, and of course the downticks are your 6, 7s, and 8s, and the 5s that are coming way down. Okay, so know that trends are real, and people say trends aren't real, you can't spot a trend, you can't, whatever, you can. Right, this proves that you can absolutely say, well, when I see a small swell forming, I'm going to jump into that swell and try and swim for the beach. Here we are. You can see that it works. If you can catch it, if you're ballsy enough to push in when that happens, and that's what we see here. So this is a good graphical look, I think, at the 2 versions of play. Now, if I turn this hyperdrive on and I unleash all of it, you'll see that everybody goes to 0. At some point, everybody ends up at 0 because the casino is, they don't make money by giving us money, right? Every strategy ends at the nuts. So that's the field way. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. We're going to turn the field ones off. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. Actually, I can't do the fallacy thing on the pass line. I could, I suppose, but I didn't write the script for it. Let me take that one off. I'm going to take this one off. And we'll take the field control off. And I'm going to switch gears, and I'll show you just for grins. No. Inactive. It's running really slow. I'm sorry. I'm clicking stuff, but it's not actually taking my clicks. This has been running all night. Okay, there we go. We'll look at the pass line. And the control series for the pass line is basically, if it's a come out roll, we're going to bet 10 bucks on the pass line. No odds. The pass line trend spotter, the 0 to 100 person, is going to do what we talked about, which is after 2 positive pass lines, if shooters make 2 points in a row, we're going to jump in on the pass line for 100 bucks, and then we're going to regression up and pull from that point forward. We'll keep that going. And then I have another player here for pass line 100, which means this person is going to bet the pass line every single time at table minimum, and then they're going to push in when they see, whenever they win, they're going to basically push way up and then pull way back. So we're going to do that. So that's the 2 pass line players that we're going to play with. I'm going to need to restart the bankrolls here. Game, new, yes. Okay, let's run those 2 just so you can see them. We're going to go to the pass line control. We're going to start. We get 500 rolls. And look at that. When you're betting just the pass line all by itself, what happens? It's pretty flat. It's pretty flat. Look at that. You got a flat run. Again, you can zoom into it and you can see, what do you see? A bunch of pass line losers and a bunch of pass line winners and a bunch of pass line losers and a bunch of pass line winners. That feels like a real table to me, doesn't it? Doesn't that feel like what happens when you go to the casino? You get your ass kicked for a while and then you win for a while and the table's hot, table's cold. When I zoom into that on the pass line only, I can clearly say on the left-hand side here, hot table or cold table, hot table, cold table, hot table. You can absolutely see hot and cold tables when you zoom in to this. Trends happen. What does it look like to the casino? It looks like that. They don't give a shit. You're betting straight pass line. Who cares? Now, the pass line person that is waiting for 2 to come and then pushing all in, look what's happening here. They're waiting for results. They're waiting for 2 in a row before they start betting. And this person here actually won 100 and some bucks. The pass line person that's betting every single time and then pushing in, way more volatility, but way more reward. So just to give you a lens on it. Yeah, so I'm looking at the chat here. I'm gonna go back to the screen and we'll talk face to face here for a second. I can see that Waylon has piped in with this. And I think you guys are talking about other things as I'm going here, which is fine. The Al Kaufman strategy that somebody said, that's not the Al Kaufman strategy. The Al Kaufman strategy is bet the pass, bet the don't pass, and then martingale whatever one didn't win. That's the Al Kaufman way, at least the one I've seen. What Waylon is suggesting that we do is have one person on a team bet pass line, I'm assuming with odds, and parlay the wins and ladder the losses, while the other person does the same on the don't pass, parlay the wins, ladder the losses. And between them, when one catches the hot streak, one's losing. I'm not sure that the math is going to work out to where those people actually don't just have a flat, even day. I got to see how it looks. So, yeah, and you're right, Greg. This is the problem. The pass line, this is the thing. So this is a good point. And I forget who made the point yesterday. Somebody did it in the comments. The problem with this pass line players betting a ton of numbers but never survives the downturn. What I showed there on the graph was only the pass line. You're just literally pass line bet, nothing on the box. The right side bettor, and you called it the elephant graveyard, the right side bettor gets thwacked when they're betting all the way across and the 7 takes all their money. That's the truth of it. And that's where the birth of, or the swell of all these hybrid strategies has come from, right? We play the hybrid strategies because as a right side bettor, I know that my bets are going to go away because the 7 is going to come. It's going to take those bets most likely. Okay. Even though it's only 16% of the time, it happens all the time. So we hybrid, right? We put some don't money down to protect the bets for a short period of time, and hopefully that you'll play that very low volatility game for a little bit until that super roll happens. Then the don't pass bet is meaningless because you've survived past it. But if you're not going to hybrid, playing the right side is super volatile because you get those downturns are bigger for you. What I was doing here today, Greg, and everybody else, was really looking at the number of wins that you get, not so much the dollars that are involved, because if I added money, obviously, if I added odds to that bet, it makes it more volatile because the odds pay different based on the number. And this is all about how many times you win, not how much you win. That's really what it's all about for me. Yeah, and you're right. We're trying to fix a broken game. There's a way to get through it. And like I always say, this is when I'm going hybrid, I'm not really going hybrid. Let's call a spade here. Hybrid play, for the most part, is right side play. If you're doing hybrid so that you can survive a short, sorry, the glare of the glasses. You're playing hybrid so that you can survive long enough on a good roll to go for it. You can't fix City Hall, right? You can't fight the math on that. You're going to end up just chopping the whole way through until it happens. A true hybrid player will spot the trend and say, oh, that was 2 times our numbers went down on the top. My hybrid strategy now says we're going to go the box numbers now are there to protect the don't pass bet. Once I win enough to cover my don't pass bet, I go in on full lay odds. And you're going to flip the bid, or you're going to go for the don't come. Hybrid play that goes both directions is really the way to do it. A lot of people use hybrid play as a hedge, and they call it hybrid, but it's really a hedge. Brian has just now switched over. The HP 120 was a hedge strategy. He started out with the don't pass was there to hedge his box number bets. Now he's changing it a little bit and saying, well, when we start sensing the trend, he said when you feel like it, I would say to you, when I see my box numbers come down twice on a 7 out, switch over to the dark side, let your box numbers earn enough money to cover the don't pass bet, and then come in, bring them down and go full odds on the don't. That's the way that you do true hybrid play. You can fix the game. I think the game can be beat if you catch the trends at the right time. I have not coded that one out yet. I'm going to code that one out with some box number play plus some don't pass play, and then switch where the focus is based on the numbers. That'll take me a while to code up. There's a lot of logic in that one, but that's, I think, where we're going to be heading for sure. So anyway, that's a talk there on trending. And I wanted to kind of back up yesterday's conversation at the table with some WinCraps programming so you could see those trends. I can talk about trends all day long. Excuse me. But until you see the graphs, and I think again, I'll put it back on the screen. I think these graphs are really telling. When I'm looking here at this, and I see this enormous uptick and this enormous uptick in here, that tells me that what I thought was true is true. You don't go win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. You go win, 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 lose, lose, win, win, win. And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing this big old like 5-6 wins in a row, a couple of losses, more wins, and then you chop a little bit, and then your loss win. It gets choppy, it goes way down, and then you start building back up again. Things happen in clusters. Outcomes happen in clusters all the time. I think DGE, Charlie, his entire system is based on outcomes coming in clusters. He's just betting the other side of it, right? I choose to bet the cluster will continue to happen. A lot of the way that Charlie sees it is the cluster is indicating what's about to happen, and it's probably the opposite of what we saw. And I think that's just a different way of looking at the exact same scenario. I think it's fascinating. And I said this before, craps is a game, 11 people, 12 at a table, the same outcomes, the same set of numbers can have such drastic differences. 3 people playing the pass line, they're all pass line bettors, have completely different outcomes in terms of their bankroll based on how they bet it. And I think that's interesting. Do you go all in? Do you wait? Do you bet and then go all in? It's to me, it's a fascinating. That's what makes this game. That's why I made a show. I'm doing this every day because I think this game is so damn fascinating in regards to all that. So that's kind of that's that point. Oh no, Hawaii's got rain. Yeah, whatever, dude. It's been raining here for a month straight in Seattle. The Seattle drizzle is a real thing for sure. Yeah, so what is the line between hedging your bets and bleeding your bets? Well, it depends on how you hedge. right? If you're hedging and you're not winning anything, like for example, let's do a quick sample. If you have a $5 don't come bet that goes behind a number and you bet the number for $5, you're going to win 2, you're going to lose nothing, right? You're basically there and you're hedging, but where the bleed comes in is in the house edge on one of those bets. For example, the don't come bet has to travel, which means you're at risk for you're at risk for the 7 and the 11. That's where the bleed happens. Once you're out there, you're fine. The 2 bets cancel each other out on a 7. You win $2 on the number being hit, and you can be there for 19 hours. But you're going to lose eventually because that house edge on the come out will get you. If you're going to do a direct lay, now you got to lay, let's say 20 on the 4 to win 10. You're going to place the 4 for $10. When the 4 comes, you're going to lose 10. When the 4 wins, you're going to win $3 if you buy it. That's where the hedging is never going to work. It's a bleed 100% of the time. In a hybrid strategy, and where people disagree with me all the time, and I don't really care, is if I'm going to go light side with it, once I'm even, I pull the don't down. Even though that's the mathematical wrong way to do it, I like to lock that up and go full in on the light side because I want to get out of the hedge. The hedge to me is the bleed. I want to get away from the hedge as soon as I can. So I either pull the lights or I pull the darks, but I'm getting out of the hedge as fast as humanly possible because I want to pick a side, to use PJ pick a side, or pick a side PJ. I want to get on one of the 2 sides of that thing because if you're living in the hedge, that's not Aerosmith song, Living in the Hedge. Greg should be singing that with us. If you're living in the hedge, you're going to just end up kissing your sister all day long. I want to get out of one side of that. And that's the way that I see it. So Waylon's here with a Charlie note. Charlie turns his bets on after 7. And then rolls the dice on a 7. Pretty much all he's doing is setting the dice on a 7, betting 6 and 8. Sure, I mean, that's the core. His core. I'm talking about his other strategies. His 7 plays, his 4 and 10 plays, his field plays, the martingale plays that are based on the waiting for a series of outcomes, then jumping into the other side of it. And the same thing. Here's a good example. One of his plays is the going dark side on the fire bet, right? Here's the thing, and that's a good play. If shooters made 5 points, right? The fire bet would pay, if you're betting it, would pay 1,000 to 1 or whatever. I think it's maybe 300 to 1 now. They've changed it, but it was 1,000 to 1 for a while there on the fire bet. It isn't 1,000 to 1 because the casinos know it's going to win. It's 1,000 to 1 because they know it's going to lose. That's when he goes all in on the don't pass, right? On that or lays the point because that's so unlikely to happen. Right? You still can come back to the dice don't give a shit what happens. But I think the math is saying the frequency of that happening versus the likelihood of it happening is very, very high, or very low rather. So that is that. All right. What else? Yeah. What else y'all want to talk about? I can go back there and roll this out. It's actually, I'll roll it out for a minute. It's a little bit boring to watch, but to see the trends actually happen on the table is interesting. So we can go back there and I'll put the table light on. Give me a second here, and we'll roll out for a few minutes what that graph in WinCraps looked like at an actual table. Let's do it. Okay, table should be flicking on here in a minute. Sorry for the darkness. There we go. Okay, so what I've got in my rack here, let me get the shadow, hopefully the shadow killer on. What I have in my rack here is we have five pro craps, or we'll do 4 lammers. The white chips will be the person who's betting the gambler's fallacy side of things. So waiting for, that's 5 chips, that's 10 chips. Waiting for 4 non-fields before we jump into the field. The player with the red chips is going to have 10 units. Wait for 2 field numbers, and then jump into the field. And they're going to do it, we'll do it somewhat aggressively. We're going to assume that these are $100 chips, okay? I'm doing them in different colors just so that you can see who's doing what as we play it out. I'll use the lammers here to indicate where we are in the roll, so I'm going to have to track things. It's a good way to use your rack, by the way, to track outcomes. So let's come out, and we have a 6. Which is a non-field number. So the gambler's fallacy person is going to mark that we have 1 in series. There's a 5, another non-field number. There's an 11. That's a field number. So the person who's looking for the trend is now awake. This person didn't get 4 in a row, so they have to wait. Now there's 2 field numbers in a row. Are we in a trend? We're going to bet and hope that this little groundswell this little swell that we saw turns into a wave. We're going to bet one time, hit a field number like we did, a yo 11, take our payment, and we're going to pull it down. If it was me actually betting this trend, I would probably stay in the field and do the up and pull. For this demonstration, we're just going to roll that way. So we're still in this field trend. There's a 5. So the trend bettor is going to turn off their counters. The other person turns on a counter. And if you remember from WinCraps, when we saw the fallacy person, all those flat lines before they would bet, this is what this means. You're waiting for the perfect table conditions to go in. There's a field bet or field win. They stop carrying. This person starts carrying. There's a second field win. I think that's 2 4s in a row, actually. Is this going to be a wave or not? We'll find out. 5 6. No, it's not a wave. It fizzled out. The trend person doesn't care. The other person does care. Notice that the fallacy person has not yet made a bet. They're waiting for the perfect ideal conditions to happen. There's another 6. Maybe we'll get in here. There's a 3, so that's a field number. So they almost got to place a bet, not quite. Turn that shit off. Here we go again. That's a 6 4 10. That's 2 fields in a row. Is this going to be a little wave that we can surf into the shore with? No, it's not. It's a 7. We lose it. Here we go again. That was actually a non-field number. Another 7, non-field number. There's a 9, field number. So again, the fallacy person turns their counters off. The field bettor turns theirs back on. Not 2 in a row. First non-field. There's a field number. So again, this person resets. This person starts to count. You can see what's happening here, right? This is not an exciting way to play. There's 2 field numbers in a row. We go in. We get a non-field number. So we lose it. And we reset the counters. There's a second non-field number, 2 7s in a row, by the way, if you're keeping score. 3 non-fields in a row. Can we get a bet on the table here? Yes, we can. All right. There's 4 non-fields in a row. This person finally gets to play. And they get a field winner. Look at that. That actually worked out. Great. Boom. And they're off. And now we wait again. This person now is awake. There's the 2 field numbers in a row. They go back in. Let's catch a wave. We didn't. That's a big loss. Go back. This person goes. I'm using my Lammers, obviously. They're nice because they have my logo on them. They also have white and black, so they're easy to see. You can use, if you're playing this, chips to do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Just some visual thing. Otherwise, you'll lose your spot. There's 5. We'll just do a few more of these. There's another 5, 2 in a row. Do we get to bet? Do we get to bet? We do get to bet. There's an 8. Back we go. 5. That's a loss. Didn't work out that time. Turn them off. There's a field number. There's a field number. Wish I was out there for that one. We on a wave? We are in a wave. Yes, we got paid. Boom. They can both come down. There's another field, so the wave is moving here. So we could have got a secondary payment there, but we didn't. We just pulled out on 1. We'll make this the last series here. There's 2. The next person that gets to bet, I'll go back and I'll turn this off. There's the 8. That's 3 non-fields. There's a field. So these all have to get reset. No field. Boy, this is like watching paint dry. Sorry. Reset. Another one, no field. A lot of downtime. I'm guessing that this doesn't do very well for comps. There's 2 fields in a row. This guy gets to bet. And he wins it. Great. Bam. All right, let's go back. Let's stop doing that. Just to give you an idea what it looks like in practice. So that is the trend line that you saw in WinCraps actually running out in real dice. And it's not terribly exciting, but it's relatively safe. It's relatively, that's what I'm looking for. It's relatively non-volatile to do it that way, because you're not betting most of the time. You're not wasting all those rolls with money out there. So that's just a way to look at it. I think it's interesting. I don't know that I would necessarily play the field that way, but it's good to illustrate the point that WinCraps showed us, but with actual dice. I think that's actually pretty good. So there we have it. That was a completely, by the way, random roll. You saw just winging them and chucking them there. So that's it. I wonder, actually, I have to go back and look at the rolls again and see what would the outcomes have been had we actually done the tracked points and everything else. I mean, I wasn't, when you're doing field betting, you don't care about the points. I just wanted to see kind of get a sense of it. So anyway, that is more on trending. Looking at the chats here. Anything else you want to talk about before we go? Otherwise, we'll call it here. Tomorrow, I promised you yesterday, but tomorrow I'll actually do it. Tomorrow we're gonna switch over and talk come bets, don't come bet, or come bets and placements. There's so much angst about come bets versus place bets. I don't know why. They're both good bets. They both have their place. They both are good if they're used properly and if you understand them. So I want to really dive into understanding come bets and place bets. And again, that may also take a couple of days. So let's see. Andre Williams says 2 non-fields, then bet the field. If it loses, double the field. That's more of an aggressive play on it, right? What I wanted to do here was set up a simple scenario, which is more things not happening to prove what's going to happen versus the shorter wave forming. I'm really all about trying to find those waves, right? I'm really all about trying to find when does the wave start and how do we get into it. Yes, and Brian, right, is so right. Be careful. If you're looking for the trends, forget about the ever powerful 7. 7 will break every trend that you're on the right side with. No question it will. But again, we did see in WinCraps, you will find those big waves come. And if you're in on the second roll and a wave comes, and again, if you're in it, you take your first hit, you regress back down, you start working that wave up, you can make good money if you're in a trend and you've spotted it early enough. If you're betting every single time to get into the trend, you're going to get your butt kicked. And that has been proven as well. I have those graphs go straight down into the red because you can't just keep chasing it. And I think chasing it's tough. This kind of thing here, losing and doubling your bet. I don't have the bankroll to go and survive 15 straight nons in a row, right? So it depends on when your stop loss is on the doubling. If you're going to double it 3 times and come back to 0 and wait again, that can make some sense. I've got to see the math on some of that too. So anyway, what else do we have here? Greg, you're doing a video tonight on, what's the subject tonight? I missed the conversation, but looking forward to your video tonight. Tonight, by the way, and again, for those of you here with me in real time, this is Tuesday, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, by the way. Tonight, I think Dave Carlin's Same Bet show is going to be on. He's going to have Wager Me This on that. It sounds like Greg's going to go live, so a lot of good things happening in the craps world. The craps world right now is on fire. It's en fuego, as we say. A lot of us are doing live streams every day. I've got this in the morning. Greg's going once or twice at night now. You got Dave Carlin's back. Jacob Wager Me This is coming back. He's getting more filming in. We are seeing a ton of cool stuff happening live, which is great. I love it. Like really, really love it. I think this is what's the word they say? You can fear competition, right? Or you can like embrace the diversity of it. And that's where I am. I'm like, there's so many people doing this, and we're all doing it in different ways, which I think means as a consumer, and I am a consumer of all of their channels. I'm like you all. I'm like just nerding out, waiting for somebody to go live every day. I love the fact that we're getting so much diverse things from everybody that's out there. So fantastic, good work to those of you here online, watching live. Good work to Brian and Greg and Ken and Jacob and everybody who's going, and Jeff with the cruise ship live updates. Love it. Love all the craps content out there. So again, I'll remind you, tell your friends. Keep liking the videos. The more you like it, the more YouTube shows it. The more YouTube shows it, the more people come to watch. The more people come to watch and subscribe, we can hit the numbers that we're looking to hit on this channel. Next year's fundraiser, I can do it through YouTube donation system and have no fees and have all the money go direct into the charities. It's so much better. We got to build this thing up. So let's do this. Brian, you are welcome, of course. You always, like you said yesterday, you've always had it in you, right? You've always been doing a little bit of protection. That's what your qualifiers always were, was protection against the early sevens. But being able to flip from light to dark on a trend, which is what you're doing. You're saying, oh, the numbers got hit twice. I'm going to go odds on the dark side. That's exactly following a trend. And I think it's a beautiful way to play. So with that said, enjoy whoever else is going live today. I will see you all in the morning, and I'll probably see you all out there in those chat rooms later on, which is great. I love chatting with you as a viewer as well. And Waylon, you're right. Yeah, live is the best for sure. All right, everybody, have a great Tuesday. I will see you out there later. Bye.